Hey guys, it's Abby from Autumn of Pelennor, and today I'm going to be looking at UK versus US covers. So we all know that the covers that are released in various different countries can be absolutely beautiful, and we can prefer one cover over another, which happens most of the time, and most of the time you like the one that isn't from where you're from, which is great. But today I thought I would have a look through 6 different book covers that had one design for the UK and one design for the US. I keep swapping those around, it'll stay the same when they're actually on the screen, I'm sorry. And I thought, yeah, I've made myself a little PowerPoint down here on my computer so I can see both of them side by side, and I thought that we could go through them and discuss which ones we prefer. And then if you down below, I've left a list of the books in the comments, and you can put down whether you, in the comments in the description, so you can copy and paste that and put down whether you think the UK or the US cover is better, and we can have a discussion about it. So these are always so fun. I remember seeing Hayley and Bookland do them years ago, and I'm so glad that I'm finally getting around to doing one of these. So first up is Such a Fun Age by Reid. I own this book, but I haven't read it yet. It's on my TBR. So let's have the UK here and the American here. And then now I have to stick to that. I won't, but I have to. So this UK one is a lot more bright and, for me, eye-catching. I think the pink is so much bolder than the lighter pink on a darker blue colour here. With the US one, the dark blue colour, although it's beautiful, like it is a really lovely colour, and they have got similar tones and similar themes, the bright pink on that cream cover with those hints of light blue really pulls my eye in, versus kind of just like a big mass of colour with a darker blue and a black with a quite pale pink on it. So I think they're both lovely. This is going to be a theme for all of this. I'm going to think both of them are nice. I think the designers have done a great job with all of these. But I do really prefer the UK one. I also like the font that's used better in terms of the author's name. I wouldn't have minded if we'd had the American font on the British cover, just with the same colour and the same layout. But I definitely prefer the UK one for this. Then next up we've got Girlwood, Girl, Woman, Other by Bernadette Evaristo. These are two so different covers. So they're both really bright, but the US edition has a lot more pops of green in it, and those blue bits there in the background are actually blue toned photos, real life photos, whereas the UK one is a silhouette of a woman with a headscarf on, and I don't know which one I prefer, because the thing is, I don't like the font of the US one, but I really like the colours on it. I think the green is really eye-catching, mixed in with the yellow and the light blue and the pink, the little bit of pink down the bottom there. But I'm not so keen on the font or photos. We don't really do like actual people on books in the UK. It always tends to be illustrations, and I don't know if it's just because I'm used to that or if I prefer it, but part of me thinks it could be because of our like differences in advertising laws versus the US is also part of it. But anyway, if someone told me you can have either of these, they're both in hardback, pick whichever one you want, I would pick the US one. I would pick the US one. I'm not so keen on how big the author's name is on the UK cover versus the title. So it kind of, I would look at the author's name and think that's the title, and it's great that being big, like yes, shout out the author, go for it, but I just want the title to at least be like closer in size than it is there. But I do love the silhouette, and if that headscarf had green in it, I would have struggled, because for some reason green just like really needs to be added into that now that I've seen the US one. So yes, for this I pick the US. Don't judge. Next up we have two seemingly identical book covers, but they aren't. So not only is the font different on the UK and the US, but although the actual like scalp and the braids is the same, the way that they wrap around the letters is different, and the ear piercing's different, and the ear is in a different location, and I know that it's petty, but I have a preference. Shut up. So I prefer the UK one. I like the font better, I like that it's squashed down and fatter, rather than the thin elongated font. I just prefer that. I also like the big hoop earring with the piercings being up and over here rather than in a more standard position back there. It just adds more dynamics to the bottom of the page whilst not just having the title and the author's name. In terms of how the hair intertwines through the letters, that's 6.5 dozen for me. I like either of them, but I do prefer the UK one of these two. And I know I'm picking like a teeny tiny instances, but I like the UK one. And this has come in like so many different colours. I think in the UK and the US there's so many different colours for this book, which is amazing. I love it. Then we've got The Vanishing Half by Bennett. This is one, I want to read all of these. I haven't read any of them and I really want to read all of them. And I know straight off which one I prefer, and it's the UK. Look at this. The US one is really pretty. I love how the faces are intermeshed and how the colours kind of blend into one another, and I really do enjoy the kind of piecing together aspect, but I just feel like the colour coordination with the UK cover works slightly better. So it isn't necessarily the design itself. If the US cover had had the colours that the UK one does, I would have picked that. I also do like the slim pickings of gold. I think it's quite beautiful, and it still does show kind of, both of them show the simultaneously intertwined and separate nature. This book is about two black women who could pass for white, and one chooses to, and one chooses to remain like clearly black. I don't know, like living in a black area, marrying a black husband, whereas the other woman pretends that she's white. And it's seeing the differences in how society treats them and how they have evolved as they've grown up being treated in this manner by society. And so this does still show that in both of them. I think both are beautiful, but I just really like the colour scheme of the UK one. Then we've got The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abby Dare. One, I like how she spells her name. Most people don't spell Abby that way, but I like it. Two, UK. Straight away. The US one is beautiful. I love the flowers with the pages used for petals, and I think the colours are absolutely gorgeous. The silhouette on that and the shadowing done is absolutely beautiful. The font is great, but there's just something about the UK one. The contrast of the skin tone with the bright yellow background, but then also the kind of blues and reds interspersed throughout the sides of the book. Yeah, the US one's really pretty. Like if someone gifted me it, I wouldn't be like, oh it's so ugly, I need to buy a different copy. It's still really gorgeous, and like the shadowing on the face of the US one is insane, but I do prefer the UK one. And then lastly we have White Teeth by Zadie Smith. We have the UK one and we have the US one. What is that? What, like, I don't know much about this book, so it could very well fit really well with the type of audience that would want to pick up this book, with kind of what's inside, with the contents. It could match beautifully. But just look at that US edition. It's still got the same kind of concept of very bold and angular writing in block white. Still, it's got like bestseller and a novel and like different like blurbs and stuff on it. But this one has got bright colours, it stands out, it's going to catch your eye on the bookshelves, whereas the UK one is going to just blend in with all the other books, even if you have it facing outwards, not just the spine. Why? I also think this is an older book, which may be part of it, so I think the US cover might be newer, so then it could be appealing to a modern audience versus appealing to an older audience back in whenever this was published, but that was an easy one. And those are the 6. I'm only doing 6, this is just a short one. I would really love to know down below, do you agree with me or disagree with me in terms of which covers I prefer, and then also let me know if I got any of them wrong. I think I got them right. but like just in case, just in case. These covers, like I said, are all beautiful apart from the White Teeth UK cover because it's just kind of very plain, but the rest are beautiful. And so nothing against any of the designers of the covers, but yeah, let me know which ones you prefer in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. With me doing another weird video, I think we've just accepted it by this point. I just like randomly intersperse stupid content. It's great, it's wonderful. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna go back and play Animal Crossing. Bye! You thought I was joking? Look at little Raymond being a little cutie. I have a problem.